Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today I'm asking you, what is your least favorite Regeneration story, and why? This was actually a little tricky, because I ranked the Regeneration stories a little while back, but I don't actually remember how my list went. I don't remember which one is at the bottom, and I didn't go back and look, because that's kind of cheating. If I have to go back and look, what's the point? I should be able to think for myself which one is my least favorite at this moment. I have a feeling mine will be a controversial choice, but the more I thought about it, it's my least favorite. Also, it comes down to what you count as a Regeneration story. Because some stories, for me, and I know not everyone agrees with this, some stories can be Regeneration stories and post-Regeneration stories. For example, Time in the Ronnie. I consider Time in the Ronnie a Regeneration story and a post-Regeneration story. So when I'm ranking them, it's going to be on both lists. Same way with the TV movie. I count the TV movie as a Regeneration story and a post-Regeneration story, because it is. Now, not everybody does that, and that's fine. You don't have to go by my rules here. If you don't want to include them, you don't have to. If you're like, I don't think of them as Regeneration stories, I think of them, it's just post-Regeneration stories. That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to you don't have to go by my rules here. You can go by whatever rules you want. But for me, my least favorite, at least at this moment, is the 10th planet. And I know that's a controversial choice. But hear me out. I've talked about the 10th planet before and my issues with it. The first two parts, the first half, is phenomenal. I love the first half. It's great. I love Hartnell in it. He's doing well. I love that he knows everything going on with what's happening with this other planet. It's like he has foreknowledge of it. I've talked before that my friend Alexa has a really great fan theory about the 10th planet. I've done a video on that and talked about it in other videos. I like the Cybermen. The Mondasian Cybermen, to me, I love that design. I think that's one of the best designs the Cybermen have ever had, and I don't know if they've ever been creepier than they are in this story. Watching them walk around in the snow and just the total lack of emotion. Because the Cybermen don't always maintain that. Revenge, 80s Cybermen, they do have emotions. They seem angry or annoyed or put out. Whereas these feel totally emotionless. There are times when you can even see their eyes in certain shots and it looks like they never blink. I love that. And the fact they talk without moving their mouth, like it's all analog. They just open their mouth and they talk. You just hear the voice come out and their mouth's just open. And he opens it wide. It's not like World Enough in Time where it barely opens. Like the mouth is like, that's creepy. The fact that the voice box is gone is just this modulator there. That's fantastic. I love that. Watching the people on the base try to cope is great. Where it loses me is the second half. Episode 3 really suffers from Hartnell not being there, and it's very obvious when the first Doctor collapses, it's not Hartnell, it's somebody in his place. He just randomly, And him not being in part 3 really hurts it, with everyone else having to kind of cover up and do his dialogue. It's ghastly apparent. Dalek Invasion of Earth episode 4 has this problem. Whereas Time Meddler pulls him off not being there really well. There's an episode of Time Meddler where he's not there. But it pulls it off, I think it's episode 2. It pulls it off really well, and it doesn't bother me like the other two. But 10th Planet is very noticeable. And then the final episode's missing. Now, don't get me wrong, the animation is good. I like Planet 55's animation. It's very detailed. I enjoy it. It's a little wonky, though, because the camera angles they use for this one, it's definitely not as refined as Moonbase would be later. Some of the camera angles are odd choices. And it's really hard going from 3 episodes of live action to the final episode being in this animated style where the camera angles are totally different. It's kind of like in Reign of Terror when you go from 3 episodes of live action to 2 animated episodes where the camera angles are totally different. Then you have to readjust back to the surviving episode, part 6 in it, with the camera angles being old school camera angles. It's the same thing here, having to adjust to the camera angles and the up close shots of the Cyberman. I'm like, that looks weird. It doesn't look right. It just, something in the back of my mind, it tickles. And then the fact that I've talked before about how I love a story's final episode to be surviving. Like, I love that Faceless Ones has 2 surviving episodes, but I wish it had been 2 later episodes, or at least one of the later episodes, and not just 1 and 3. One of the reasons why I want Will in Space animated so badly is episode 6 survives of it. I could finish the story with surviving footage. I love that. So, you know, I love the fact that the final episode of the Moon Base Exists survives. You know, that it's not one of the 2 episodes that are missing in the Moon Base. So it's really hard, especially as pivotal as episode 4 of 10th Planet is, with everything going on in it, defeating the Cybermen, all of the dialogue, and of course the regeneration, and having to watch an animated version of that regeneration to finish the story. And the fact that so much of the footage of that is lost, and what's a good bit of the footage we have isn't good. It's like on like an 8mm film. You can tell it's not the best. It's just really the regeneration we have. It's one of the reasons why I love seeing that regeneration in Twice Upon a Time more. I love the Twice Upon a Time First Doctor regeneration. It's my favorite regeneration. When I ranked them, it was at the top of the list, because I like actually seeing that used in the story instead of just watching it as an Easter egg bonus. So yeah, the animation hurts it. Just having to see that pivotal moment and not have the whole surviving footage feels very anticlimactic to me. And I always, when I've watched the 10th Planet, I always end up a little disappointed, because the first half is so good, and because of these things I've outlined, the second half just doesn't compare. So because of that, it just disappoints me the most. So it's my least favorite. And I'll explain why. Because I love war games, so it can't be that one. Planet of the Spiders, I really need to give a rewatch, but I never want to rewatch. You ever have one of those where you're like, I need to rewatch that, and then you're like, not really in the mood right now. That's Planet of the Spiders. I need to give it a rewatch, because it's not bad. It's just, it's the third Doctor, as good as his era is, deserved a better send-off. It's not bad, though. I love the fact he gets to basically go by land, sea, and air, and it definitely has moments. Legopolis is pretty good without being great. Caves, of course, is amazing. We don't really get what some people would consider a regeneration story for the 6th Doctor, but I count Time as the Ronnie in it. But I like Time and the Ronnie more than I do the 10th Planet, which is an odd thing to say, but I'd cut Time and the Ronnie a lot of slack, because I know all of the stuff that, well, I know a good bit of the stuff that went on behind the scenes by it, having dug into that and read about it and watched the videos about it. And the fact that it came out as good as it did is a miracle, honestly. It's not Jane and Pip's fault that they just basically had their hands tied trying to get this to work. And they weren't happy with the end result either. And then, of course, I like the TV movie better than I do the 10th Planet. And then all of the modern series endings, at least leading up so far. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this, since Whittaker's next story is, of course, her regeneration story, I wanted to kind of talk about my least favorite thus far. It seemed like a good time to talk about it. I tend to like most of them. I liked Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways. I really like End of Time. I love its drawn-out ending. I know some people don't, but I love it. I feel like the 10th Doctor earned it. I like Time and the Doctor. The Doctor Falls and Twice Upon a Time are phenomenal, I think. So yeah, I think it's the 10th Planet. I would like to know, what do you think? What is your least favorite regeneration story and why? And where does the 10th Planet rank on your list? So comment down below, because I always enjoy hearing from you guys. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It really helps me grow the channel. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm, and I really would like to reach 1,000 subscribers. That is my goal. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. Everyone who joins at any tier level, even my entry level, which is only $2 a month, gets a free video request for something they would like me to talk about, Doctor Who related or otherwise. I also have other tiers with other rewards as well, if you want to check that out. I have a P.O. box. If there's anything you would like to send me, that's down there as well. As is a link to my Amazon wish list, which I update regularly. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.